folks. We've got the amazing Mark Z from Longfellow Staffing, Mark Z Legal Staffing, MYOB.
He's also been the most frequently co-hosted of this show, taking over for both you or I, and also the most frequently of giving double segments because he doesn't give the mic up.
And he sat next to me at the Family Business Association Awards, so we had a great time that night. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Good afternoon, Rick. Good afternoon, Jeff. I'll tell you, with an introduction like that, you sure my mother didn't pay you.
I saw your mother. She wouldn't pay us for that. I was at Mark's birthday party a couple of weeks ago.
I heard about that, but you didn't even meet his neighbor.
She tried to take the whole cake home.
Now, Mark, what year was that? I'm just kidding. We don't have to answer that.
Rick, we're both young. When you get to be my age, they talk about young, not old.
I understand. Mark, what's on your mind today?
Well, Rick, since we had our last show where you were nice to point out that I was one of 12 people selected by the Mass Bar Association for a task force on the future of legal education in Massachusetts, got a lot of response from our followers. And I want to do a follow-up because since that show and now the task force has begun, although I'm not at liberty to discuss what we're discussing, but I can tell you there have been numerous articles written on the value of a legal education and what people are doing about it and the future of the legal profession.
No,
and
you touched on it a little bit last time. It's very interesting, Mark.
Right. I think there, for example, in Massachusetts, as we talked about, there are 9 law schools, and 2 are unaccredited, but meanwhile they're packed in terms of admissions.
Why would you go to an unaccredited school? Is there a reason, or?
Well, I think some people will go to an unaccredited school because whereas law school education costs about $45,000 in tuition now, but for example, a tuition price from Mass School of Law I think is about $16,000, and from the other Massachusetts law school, which is now going to become part of University of Massachusetts, I think it's about $25,000. So you definitely have a discount with the hopes that it will eventually be accredited by the American Bar Association.
I see. Interesting.
So what's going on is that law students feel when they come out of law school they should have jobs, and that the law schools aren't doing enough. And what the law schools have also done, particularly in some cases where they've caught, like Villanova Law School, where they've said, well, we've gotten X amount of jobs for our students, and if you go to law school, you can count on a job in X profession, in the legal profession, but X job, whether it's in public or private. And so some of the students relied on that information, did fairly well in law school, and came out, and they didn't have any jobs. Further, it was discovered that what employment meant was not necessarily a legal job, but meant maybe working for a restaurant, maybe working back for that law school in jobs that they gave them stipends for to keep their post-law school experience and success on a high swing. So now people are starting to have starting to re-examine what's going on and having and beginning lawsuits. So, for example, New York Law School and the Thomas Cooley in New York and the Thomas Cooley Law School in the Midwest have been sued by former students.